Day one at the super secret ground squirrel headquarters. I woke up at 6. I caught myself. Usually what happens is I get my deep sleep in, I get my dream sleep in, and I start working on stuff. I start thinking about like the high level like the big ideas in terms of the kind of abstract concepts that we barely even have words for, and they all start like clicking together at once into aha moments, and then like declicking, and then next thing you know is like, damn, I just figured something out. But I don't like sleeping like that. It's hard to capture that. But it's hard to capture those aha moments. And I'd rather just sleep well. And so I got up, took care of business, took that number one. Felt really good. It's not really raining at all. It's nice and cozy in here. And it's what, 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock. And this is what it looks like when you wake up in a Mountain Hardware Tringo 3. And the sun's just rising at 7. And I almost forgot, and then I just lurched awake after I like to squeeze out the sleep, so sleep and get up. I'm like, I could get up now. Then instead I go back to bed and I squeeze out like another hour. That way, like, you really gotta squeeze out of sleep. That's what I think, at least. And then I just lurched up, like, oh shit, I'm here for that giant step. I haven't got around to sending that video to the lead I have at Hedgehog. Josh is the name, I think, the VP or something like that. I was gonna send a video to him first, just see what happens, and then if nothing, then send it to more. I'm gonna do that right now. That's my first action. But first, I'm gonna have a lemon bar. I fucking love lemon bars. Yeah, I'm gonna have a lemon bar and a good sip of water. I'm gonna crush the rest of this. I'm gonna crush you. I'm gonna crush you. I'm gonna crush you with my body. You're gonna hydrate so good. Fuck. No animal paranoia at all last night. I got some great dreams in. But anyways, I'm not gonna ramble much. I wish I could sleep for like 24 hours straight right now. I'm not tired like that, as in how you just feel shitty, you're so tired. But definitely, it would be nice to just rest. Lemon bar. No, damn, that was a good lemon bar. Lemon bars are... I love lemonade, so I guess it's natural. I love lemon bars. One of the click moments when I was in half sleep at the end of the night was I was like, that's actually the essential material for the technology. It's glue. Like, a technology is just a system of sub-technologies, smaller technologies, and without the glue, you can't have the thing. Doesn't mean that just because you have glue, the thing is going to work. The configuration is important, but once it's configured, it's got to be glued. So, like, so it's like gravity could be the simplest glue, or it could be like if you were welding, if you were combining metal together, the way you weld the metal together, the welds, the fused metal at the weld points would be the glue. But then I was like, what about the case for the technology as a knife? Like a single piece of steel that's been beaten into a shape that can do stuff. That's a technology. What's the glue there? I guess for the technology like that to be useful in some way, it has to have a handle. I mean, you could forge it so that the metal itself is the handle, but you don't get the best grip. Metal's slippery. So you need to fuse the metal with the wood of the hilt, the sharpened metal of the blade with the wood of the hilt to create the knife. And however you fuse the wood with the hilt, maybe you wrap cord around the wood and the hilt of the blade, or the tang of the blade, to secure the wood against the blade, and then that's your handle with the blade's edge extending. The glue would be the cordage that's wrapping the wood against the metal. Glue. I imagine the aliens are like, oh, glue. 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 They're looking at schematics, and one of them reaches out with the long, funny finger and looks at his alien buddies like, glue. 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 Glue here. Glue there. Glue here and there. The glue. What's the glue, yo? Reminds me of that Nipsey Hussle line. It's like, I'm the glue. I want to be the glue. I think it's all about being the glue. All right, I sent it. I sent one. One of the message in a bottle instances to the VP. And I'm going to do some quick coloring on the videos, get those ready for airdrop. So if I do that, as it'll be a good mental warm-up before I crack into which one should I do first. I'm going to crack into this one first, because this course was great. It was painful. I know that this is the least dense and that I will be least likely to get sucked into a rabbit hole within the book itself. So other books will require more focus. Also, I gotta wait. I'm waiting for my coffee to kick in a little bit. I made myself a hot vanilla protein shake with Starbucks coffee in it. So I'm living large, living real. The window is shining through the Trenga 3. Mountaineering Hardware. You gonna sponsor this? You gonna sponsor this? You gonna sponsor fucking world peace? Or what? I'm not sure. I'll talk to Solomon. We have a whole, it's a complicated relationship. All right. All colored up. Yesterday's movies are ready to airdrop and just pop into iMovie real quick. Form a piece to push. and the coffee's in. The coffee is fucking bumping. I'm ready to dig in. I told myself I was going to start with the TCP/IP networking book. Told myself last night I'm going to start with the IPv6, just because I want to and work backwards. So that's what I'll do. Find it. Here we go. Module 19. I have my office here. I have a deck of sticky notes. And I got a couple pens. I like the Pilot G2s. These are all 1 millimeters. Don't get me twisted. For some 7 millimeter, 5 or 0.5 or 0.7 millimeter full. I got my got a ring full of colored paper clips, different colored paper clips. I like to bundle sticky note packets as they form. I have a chain of sacred sapphire gems. It's just something. It's a memory token, and I got my binder clips. A couple different sizes. I like to open a book, and if it's getting floppy, then I'll like binder clip one side, keep it open there. And then what I like to do is I don't like to go straight through any one particular book, because then your brain gets tired of that one book style and starts to saturate. And so the idea is to keep cycling through the stack. The stack in this case is three tidbits deep. These 3 tidbits here. And as I'll open up a book, I'll stop where I'm stopped, and I'll leave it open, and then I'll create an open tidbit stack. That's just a stack of open books, and then as I go, I'll just cycle the stack like that. And I will leave a trail of sticky note tidbits along the way. These are all pieces, right? But not all tidbits are significant, so I guess not all tidbits are pieces. You can have a 0 tidbit. There's a 0 and a 1 tidbit, and there's also a superposition of the 2 as a tidbit. And not all tidbits are significant. Therefore, not all tidbits are actually pieces. So, to get primed, this is actually not a bad angle. Well, I mean, to do the book thing, open the book up. I like to try to maintain good posture, sticky note posture. Let's do, white sticky notes will be reserved for just thought tidbits, like things I pick up as I go that I want to save for later. This whole session will be consolidated into a fat ass stack, and then that fat ass stack will be 1 unit of time. It'll be from this particular time space moment. So we're in the Timetent. We are engaged, activated, fully activated, ready to do some review. So I'm gonna start place. I pretty much start all my sticky note tidbits the same, with a header that has the date 09. What is the date? Fuck. I'll leave that blank. 24. I do know that it's Friday. I didn't take the recycle out because I'm not there. Fuck them. They'll live without their recycle, with their recycle bin being full. They'll have to. They're gonna have to learn to cope. And this is the TCP/IP networking guide. TCP/IP networking. If you can't fit your header onto one line at the top, then you need to just invent a way to do so. Oops. Actually, fuck that. Wrong orientation. I'm very particular about the orientation. It's not oriented right. If the header isn't oriented then you can't fold it in half and get the same completed tidbit effect. I also like to make sure that I'm usually writing. So that's why I do the sticky note tidbits. That way, as I go, I'm actively engaged with the material. It's essential. I don't want to use red, but now it's red. I'm going to identify starting points. This is my starting point. For other books in the stack, I'm going to save the one that I'm most interested in. I want to save this one for last. I want to save that for last because it'll be more stimulating for me. Give me a pop of extra energy right when I need it. And I'm going to go here. Same thing. I'm going to jump straight to IPv6. That way I can compare and contrast. I can identify deltas between the content. I'm pretty sure there's a TCP or IPv6. Internet layer. No. This one. Sure. What do I want to do for this one? Friday. Computer network. Starting point. I'm going to identify the starting point, write it down so I can track it later. And so I'll pair these white ones, the blue ones with the white ones from each book. I can, if I want, just isolate all the white ones in an irreversible process, or like painfully reversible, and I'm going to start at 4.7 IPv6. And from IPv6, I'm going to go to 1 intro and check out the history of the internet again, because it's been a while since I've reviewed that. But it's also, if you're already familiar with material, it's good to jump ahead to stuff you don't know. That way you can kind of piece together what you're rusty on as you go, like as a byproduct. So this one, let's look at abstractions and technology, languages, computer, the processor, large and fast, graphics, computing, GPUs. I'm gonna go straight to GPUs because I've been realizing that I don't know how those work really. So architecture. Oh, it's online content? No! That's annoying. I'm going to go to parallel processors from client to cloud, because that's most relevant, I think, to the hedgehog bit. Parallel processors. Client to cloud. After that, I could plan the next move after that would be the processor, or let's say, go back to 1, and then we'll do 1. Abstractions. All right. Okay. Done. I like to click every time. I'm done with the writing session. That way, once I do invent the pen, that its only job is to track clicks. I'll already have that habit ingrained into my habit, my muscle memory. So it's muscle memory. It's a quick click. So I'm gonna reposition the stack and get a little more comfortable. So here's the stack. Let's move this to the top. Whoa. Let's process. Piece process engaged. I'll do some I think yoga is really important because it's like the embodiment of physical breathing. And so there's cat, and then there's cat, and there's cow. Right now I need some cow, so I'm gonna give myself some cow. I'm giving myself some like puppy pose cow. Okay. And I want to run with this sticky note, the blue one, as I go. 19.1. That way, if I catch something that I'm like, I need to read about that next, I'll just write it on the blue one. I can just put this right here for now. All right. Module lessons, overview, headers, or addresses, headers, ICMP, DNS, routing services and protocols, Internet 2. After this module, I'll be able to list 3 categories of IPv6 address, describe format and structure, explain the process of mapping IEEE MAC address to a 64-bit IU format, describe the types of IPv6 addresses, describe the IPv6 header, common types of ICMPv6 messages, describe changes to the DNS records of IPv6, list modifications to common routing protocols. And I'm going to go straight to the end of that and work backwards, because sometimes I just know that works better for me. I'm going to look at acronyms, because I don't know why they don't put the acronyms at the front, so you can familiarize yourself first before hitting the content for the first time. But hey, I'm not a teacher, what do I know? Border Gateway Protocol version 4. Ooh. DHCP version 6. Has its own version, it's good to know. DS differentiated services, ECN explicit congestion notification, EIGRP enhanced interior gateway routing protocol. Ooh, that's a good one. I'm like skydiving right now. Back is sore from yesterday. That was kind of a big pack, I realized after looking at those videos. I never quite realized how big it is until I look at pictures. Internet work packet exchange. Oh, that's interesting. Multi-protocol extensions for BGP. Multi-protocol label switching. That's a juicy one. MTU, malogenic, name server, OSPF, forgot about that. Version 2, OSPF, there's a second version. Organization, unique number, identifier, request for comments, ripping. Oh man, computer people are just too much. There's ripping, which is routing information protocol. Next generation is ripping, baby. Yeah. Regional Internet Registry. The Regional Internet Registry apparently, I think, assigns the ASH. No. Is that one? No, they don't have that acronym. Okay. Resource Reservation Protocol. Nice. RSVP, Resource Reservation Protocol. Again, very clever. Very clever, these people. Okay, so TCP and UDP both have their own IPv6 versions. Internet 2. Founded in 1996. It's an education network. Part of what I'm doing here is I'm looking at all the different like organizational features of the internet community as a whole, and like how did they go about actually inventing the internet, making it how it is today, so that I can take video like this and upload it to YouTube and then serve it wherever, whenever, to whoever. That's pretty epic. And so I'm trying to take that. I want us to pattern it, like mirror it, those same organizational functions, like the Internet Engineering Task Force, for example, and do that, but for like the Global Peace System Network. Okay, that was. Enhancements for OSPF are version 3 is for IPv6, and it's enhancing version 2 of Open Shortest Paths first. And enhancements are: it distributes IPv6 prefixes, it runs directly over IPv6, it ships in the night with quotes, meaning running simultaneously on routers with OSPF v2, as in it just kind of, you can just jam both of them in, you have them both run, and it goes. And it adds some specific address attributes. OSPF v3 runs over a link rather than a subnet. Good to know. So what I'm doing here is I'm going like, I understand what that says, but what does it mean? And that'll help me like figure out a framework for how I think it works. All the earlier stuff works. Then when I go back to touch the earlier stuff for the first time, I'll have that framework as my working model to compare and contrast against and identify deltas. And those deltas will be the learning points, which is like, oh shit, I was wrong. That's good to know. So that'll, every time you go, oh shit, I was wrong, this is right, that's a significant piece. That's a new piece in your world. That's a reference point. So So like I asked right now in my head, I have a working question piece on link versus subnet. Why is that significant for the OSPF? I'm creating right now just a working list of mid-level, like question tidbits. I don't know if the questions are significant or not yet, so they're just tidbits. SPF link versus subnet. Multi-protocol extensions for BGP. Advanced distance vector. DNS records. So one thing I'm not as clear on for IPv6 is how the hardware actually goes about where does the conversion between the hexadecimal notation and the regular decimal notation, where does that happen? IP. I don't like sniveling like a snotty ass face little boy. Take it. Snotty ass face little boy. Snotty ass face. You're a snotty ass face. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. Oh. So RFC 3596 on all existing query types that do type A processing must be redefined to perform both type A and quadruple A. Okay, this is the next section. ICMP v6. I'm just gonna read. If anything big comes up, I'll write it down. Otherwise, this after all is a review session. I'm more interested in writing down relevant tidbits that could be relevant. Tidbits that could be pieces that I can use in the invention effort. SCMP, error and informational messages, so info. Yeah, that's right. But also for a variety of router and host configurations. Those are split evenly between 8 bits, 0 to 127, and 128 to 255. Between one byte. There's a bit, and then 8 bits is a byte, but then half of a byte is 4 bits, and that's a nibble, and then 2 bits is a niblet. Isn't that great? A niblet. Tid niblet. A tid nibble. A tidbite. Tidbit. Nah, we can't call this a piece nibble. This is just a tid nibble. This is just a tid nibble right now, because I don't know if these 4 tidbits are significant. Or I don't know if these 4 bits interact or can be configured in a way that makes those 4 bits into a significant piece. So is the tid nibble significant? I don't know yet. So we gotta stick with that language. I'm doing finger yoga, finger massage right now. It's so good. Oh, man. My peace process is struggling right now because I'm thinking about a text I got last night where an acquaintance said some things that were just disturbing to me. And I'm like, I want to address it, but at the same time, I don't I don't want to feed it or even engage with it because it was just so it was definitely off base, out of line. And I want to be like, yo, just stop with that shit. But I don't even want to put mental energy towards that because my mental energy is too scarce and precious. So by saying that out loud, I've acknowledged it, I've respected it, I'm gonna put it away now. Thank you. Okay, so they are taking of the common types of ICMP messages. They're taking the top top 11 and just going through each one. Okay. Got some explicit question coming up. What is it? How does the checksum work? The header. So specify type, specify the code, which is the type of the type, and then add a checksum. And then that same looks like 8 bits, so 24 bits, 48. There's padding of unused 48 bits, which can be appropriated by people that are getting creative. Remember, I'm approaching this from a perspective of, like, I want to engineer and implement, like, innovative stuff that involves these pieces. And so I have to know where I'm able to get creative. And that's if you know where you can get creative, then you have more options. Okay, you probably get the gist. I'll put you away now, because we've been here a minute. I'll be here for hours, so I'll see you in a minute. You can go for a hike or something, yeah? Okay. Alright, finish that chapter. That's pretty quick. Some new developments. I invented a new tent sofa, like lounge situation that has lumbar support. It's a lot more comfortable. I can sit up and maintain good posture while I on my workstation here. Results. Then my next step is to check out IPv4 headers and then ICMP for IPv4, and I want to compare and contrast the things that were given during this chapter to see like how different was it. Also, I want to do that in terms of the new features that IPv6 provides according to this table right here. So I have that specified. I did come up with a tidbit for a question for the Invention program. And that's so every piece in principle and like theoretically is its own world peace computer, where even this paper, this sticky note, this is now a world piece currently in my world peace computer, because this tidbit, although it might not be significant, it might be significant. Therefore, right now it is a piece. This is actually a tidbit of 0 or 1 at the same time. But this piece has a system of stuff, and those stuff have things. Each thing is its own piece, at least according to my world. But if we were to consider this as its own individual world, it's like it's happy. This is a happy little folded up sticky note with stuff written on it. Well, then this world wouldn't be a world unless it had, say, 3 separate specific pieces, and that's the paper, the glue, and the writing, the ink on it. And so I could, in principle, address this as its own world peace computer, where within this, like the atoms and whatnot are competing with one another to maintain the best configuration, which is folded up like this. This configuration where it's folded up and it has writing on it has more structure, say integrated pieces, than if this were not folded up and had no writing on it. I can maintain more I can contain more information on this. You could argue that, you could flip it over and do this sort of thing or that sort of thing, but this particular configuration, like for this type of configuration, this is the optimal state. And I could define all the pieces within this tidbit world piece as its own piece, its own world. Each, like, this is one word written in ink on paper in this little local world region. And so I could address all the sub pieces in there as with their own unique piece address. And so how many addresses would we need if we were to scale that concept to the human universal scope, all the way down to the stuff and things, human things scope? So one sticky note is one piece that would get one address. How many different addresses would we need just for sticky notes? If everybody were to take all the sticky notes they have already and address them on this planet, how many addresses would that be? And then for each word that's written on each sticky note, how many addresses would that be? And then for each sticky note set or configuration, right? How many addresses would we need on top of that to keep track of everything? And so IPv4 was interesting because apparently it was you could keep track of 14 million interfaces and 6, I don't remember what it is, but there's only so many numbers for a 32-bit number. There's so many addresses numbers for a 32-bit sequence of bits. So we switched to IPv6, which has 128 bits, and that's not what I said it was last night, but it's a massive number. But is that number big enough to address all the pieces? It's definitely big enough to address all the computer devices on the planet for the foreseeable future, even with Internet of Things. How many piece addresses would we need, and what would the format be? That would be a follow-up, separate tidbit, but I'm going to leave that there for now. I discovered that I need to go back to just review the basics really quick, the history of the internet. And then once I do that, I'm going to jump to, I need to remember how the payloads are processed, in terms of the logic and the digital electronics. So I'm going to jump over to the Computer Hardware and Architecture book after I finish reviewing the history of the internet, and keep tracking tidbits. I have a list of just random things too I'm keeping an eye out for. But yeah, and a new dope-ass configuration. This is nice. Here, I'll give you a closer look here. This is a setup, and then I got the ass cradle wedged in the crack, and I let out some air, did a fold move, and now I have just a lounge. This is nice. And I can spread my legs out. I can stretch if I want to. Right? Damn. It's good to be a gangster. I'm a little shaky right now. Swizzle with the spoon. It's all dirty. You don't wash it. 'Cause I don't give a fuck. I'm camping. I fancy tapped it. 'Cause I'm not a fucking savage. I'm not gonna let that coffee drip all over my Mountain Hardware Trango 3. I do have the shakes though. I take medicine, and I up my dose of the Tuda, and I've had the shakes, I guess, yeah. The shakes and the twitches for a minute there. A piece computer, it's all about taking the analogies from the world of computers, stuff we know works so well, and applying them to our day-to-day life. It's educational. Most people don't know what a lot of these terms mean. When computer people say protocol, what's a protocol? What is a protocol? What does a protocol do? How would you recognize a protocol if you met one? Good question. I think protocols are so important, and it's important to be explicit about them. That way they're well defined and they're reliable. Therefore, a human analogy, it is probably easiest to understand the notion of a computer network protocol by first considering some human analogies. Since we humans, we execute protocols all the time. Here's a communication one. Consider what you do when you ask somebody for some time off, say your boss. A typical exchange is shown in figure 1.2. The human says hi. The boss says hi. Human says, got time? Boss says 2 o'clock. And that's as time goes on. That's what the protocol is. Computers do the same thing. A computer sends its server TCP connection request. Hey, let's do it. Let's connect. Server says, cool. And then let's do it. And then the computer gives the place, or it gives the info it wants to get. And then the server serves a file. And that takes time. Back, forth, protocol. So protocols can be complex. They don't have to involve just two parties on one side, but things like that. Network protocol. A network protocol is similar to a human protocol, except that the entities exchanging messages and taking actions are hardware or software components of some device. So I guess that brings us to the definition, or the key defining elements of a protocol. A protocol defines the format and order of messages exchanged between two or more communicating entities, as well as the actions taken on the transmission and or receipt of a message and or event. It's precise, at least within the scope of that language. Do you hear that? It's not an animal. The snow is sliding down the tent when it acquires too much mass and it breaks that static coefficient of friction. The force of gravity overcomes the static force of friction, and then it drags the snow down, and the snow carries all the other snow with it, and it makes a little like avalanche. You can hear it rumble. Thought it was an animal at first, but nope. Okay. It's Wilder here. Definitely Wilder right now. I just finished an impromptu monologue. I was practicing for a potential interview with one of the, say, Hedgehog founders. But what I was doing was I was anticipating being asked about World Peace Computer, and then it ended up with me getting into, like, why is this important to me? Why is this so important to me? And it finished with, like, the realization that the hedgehog metaphor, at least the version that's forming in my head, my interpretation of it, is like fundamental to the peace computer. And without the peace computer, without discovering that I'm a hedgehog, like, I want to be here. I want to be here. So why did everything happen the way it happened? That's what I ended up talking on. And I'm going to see if I can recreate it. Damn, I should have recorded that, but no, I shouldn't have, because I would have known that it was being recorded. No, I was talking with them on, like, a video call or in person. More a video call from the tent. I was sitting in my tent on a video call, speaking with them. That was where I was in time space. I'm super emotional right now. Emotion comes first. That's how you know it's real. Fuck, dude. Fuck, dude. Damn it, dude. I don't want to fuck this camera stuff right now. I want to film. Orient. I'm being asked, what is the invention? How does it work? I get into talking about the what, the why, and the how. Then I explain general stuff computer. Then I explain that everybody's a uniprocessor at the core. Some people never get past that. And if their energy's clean and there's no noise and their clock cycles are stable, then they will be effective at doing the things that they want to do with their uniprocessor, but no more so than that limitation. But if it's unstable, they will be completely ineffective. And most people that are effective at doing things in a uniprocess manner, they're just very slow. They're slow people. But time is our most precious resource, and it is natural for us as humans and things in this universe to adhere to the least action principle from physics, where if I'm doing things naturally, I'm going to get from point A to point B in the least amount of time as possible. And if I can't get to point B, and that's what I need to do in the least amount of time as possible, then I might not get there. If I have super limited resources, I won't get there. And then I'll be stripped from the time tree. And I think it's a damn shame. And then I find myself here talking to you. Like, you're one of the, like, never, ever, ever in my wildest dreams did I think that I would be sitting down talking to somebody like you at this level, especially not about this. Be like, computers? Like, supercomputers? The internet? That shit's fucking crazy. I've read things. I know a lot of things. I know that I am not that person. I'm not that person to, like, actually do that stuff. To actually be able to pull that off. To do it. Like, are you crazy? And it's like, no. Like, I came a long way. I used to think I was really bad at math. Like, I took a calculus course in high school, but I never really understood anything. I just knew the things. I just knew all the little things. Like, this is this formula. Use this here. This is that formula. Use that there. But the shit was beyond me. It was mind-boggling to me. And then later in college, I took a calculus course for economics. I had to drop out of that shit because I was failing. I couldn't do it. I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would be thinking about stuff at the level I am now and speaking about it at that same level and making moves at that level. And it's overwhelming for me emotionally because, like, before discovery, I like picking up all these things I know but can't figure out what to do with. They would just pile up and pile up and pile up, approaching a point where it's like overwhelming, and to the point where it's affecting my personality. It's affecting the kind of person that I am in a bad way. Like, I'm becoming a bad person. Stop and start. See if I can recreate this. So what is the actual invention? Peace computer. World peace computer. How does it work? How? This is a hard one. I'm still working at finding the words for it. Still working at finding the words for it. It's not just an idea. It's a real thing for me. It's the only thing I see, because I rely on it. So how? Let's start though with the what. Or start with the why. We'll go why, what, then how. Let's start with the what, superficial what, which is what does it do? It takes all the pieces in my world and it makes it so that I can put them together better than I would otherwise, and I get more good stuff. Otherwise, I don't get good stuff. I get bad stuff. Okay, so what's the what? That is the what, a superficial what. And superficial and the regular what. It takes all the pieces and integrates them. Makes it so I can optimize their arrangement. It's an optimization machine or engine. What's the why? Well, now back to the what. To clarify on the what, the object of interest is time. My time is so scarce that the what is I get more out of my time and energy. And oftentimes I actually just get it. Like, I have enough time to get it, whereas if I didn't have a world peace computer, I don't have the time to get it. I never get from point A to point B. That's why for me it's a time machine. So why does it work? Well, I discovered there's something called the least action principle in physics, where in nature, stuff just happens to go from point A to point B along the path that takes the least time. That's the path. If something's in the way, then it can't take the least time path. It takes more time to get around that path, to get around that thing that's in the way to get from point A to point B. But yeah, so like the least action principle is that the time integral of the Lagrangian is minimized, which means that if you take over a course of time, the difference between the amount of potential you have and the amount of potential you release into kinetic energy, and then you sum that all up over some course of time, like, that's the action. That's not the least action, that's the action. That's how much action it takes to get from point A to point B, perhaps. But least action means if you minimize it, the time it takes to change your potential into that movement, to get to that point, well then, if you're like light or like an apple falling in gravity, then you're going the most natural path. That's some natural way. And as an example, this is a natural example, if I take an apple and I throw it this way, it's going to go this way until it falls and hits the ground. It's going to go in they call it a parabolic trajectory. It'll have some initial kinetic energy and some potential energy due to gravity. The kinetic energy is from me throwing it. Potential energy is due to gravity. And as it falls, it'll lose potential energy. The gravity will convert that basically into kinetic energy going downwards. So now, as it hits the ground, it's got more kinetic energy than it started out with, but it's got less potential energy. So the difference between the potential and kinetic is different than the difference between potential and kinetic here. And if that difference is minimized, then it implies there's only one way to do it, to minimize it mathematically. It implies that the apple falls in that same arc that gravity does it when you throw it. And it's reliable. It happens every single time, just like that. The arc goes like, boop. So relating that to World Peace Computer, a World Peace Computer basically, no, I'm not relating it to World Peace Computer yet. So I believe that humans with their brains just naturally do that same thing, where when we do things and they work out right, we're minimizing the action. We're minimizing the amount of potential energy that we have to convert into kinetic energy, movement, in order to do the thing. If you're not doing it right, then it's not minimized. You're doing a lot more work. And that's work in the strict sense, where it's like converting potential energy into movement, which requires work by definition is application of force over some distance, or its impulse over force over some time. Oh, maybe that's it. So then in terms of World Peace Computer would minimize the amount of work done to get to the same point by sidetrack. That's a mental sidetrack. So I think we as humans naturally do this. We're like natural action minimizers. I want to take the path of least resistance. We all do that. And those of us that are most effective, the best at doing things, like those are people who are naturally just better at calculating that. They call it a variational mechanics problem, where if you do the math right, you minimize the action. It's simple. But those people usually have complicated brains. What if you have a simple brain? When I say you'll still be able to do simple things effectively, but there will be a limit to how complex the thing you can do effectively or at all. And that can be a real problem. But in terms of World Peace Computer, the how is, it's like, oh, that's right, the non-trivial what. Maybe I'll jump I'll do the how for World Peace Computer in terms of this language, and I'll jump to the non-trivial what, then come back to the how. No, non-trivial what will be the final point. So I'm going trivial what, which is World Peace Computer optimizes stuff to get from point A to point B faster. Why? Because I believe the least action principle is universal. It applies to us. And then how does a universal peace computer do that? Well, I think we all have something like a world, like this computer in our heads that is calculating least action. What's the path of least resistance for me? But some people have more complicated versions. But the simplest version we can represent as a simple metaphor, which we could say it's like a uniprocessor, a processor that has only one thread. It has only one process, rather, but one thing it's doing at any given time. I don't want to get sucked into that rabbit hole. That was like 20 minutes of talking. But the more complicated brains, what if we go like, so how does your brain work? I say I have a world peace computer. Blair has a world peace computer. Wilder has a world peace computer. I invented it. So like, what is the invention? What is the processor? I say it's a multiprocessor. It's a particular architecture. Like, what do I mean when I say scale my architecture for the world peace computer so that I can munch more bugs or do more things? I mean, it's like, what is the architecture? I'm like, well, if I took your brain, you might have a complex process where I could model your brain as like a cluster of different types of processors with like shared memory and wires linking them together, and different logic units combining instructions and operations. And you would have that, you could figure it out, and you would have it and be like, okay, Blair, mine works like, my world peace computer looks like this. I have a uniprocessor here. There's a multiplexer that connects it to a cluster where on one cluster we have a vector processor and a sysd, and those two share a common memory resource, but they're isolated from this other this is a MIPS or a MISD, but there is a tunnel between the two to exchange this type of resource, and then this one writes to that kind of load store memory in my mind, but this cluster with the vector and the sysd, that one writes to this other memory. I'm like, cool. Then this is how mine works. And then, so that's your invention. That's your world peace. If you came up with that deliberately, that's your world peace computer as an invention. And then my world peace computer invention looks like this. I have this processor, this multiplexer. It works like this between these different components. And then because we're speaking the same language, we understand each other, and you might be able to take my invention state of art and apply it to your invention to improve the function of your invention, and now all of a sudden we have a new invention. It's the next best world peace computer for you. So common language is important, hence the peace computer as a term. But I realize it's like I still haven't answered the question. How does mine work? I'll say that I'm still working on the words for that and the concepts for that. I know it's a thing. Here's a story though. In terms of the time machine, once I called it a market research and development booth at a Saturday market. And all I did was talk about Peace Computer with people. And like, there's one time when I knew I was tapping into the computer brain and the big brains out there, where this like hacker guy comes. He was obviously like a hardcore computer guy. Obviously, comes up. He's like just intense. Looked like he'd been like programming for days, and he was wearing a black shirt with like two beautiful like graffiti style dragons that were both like embracing and then battling at the same time, and one was purple and one was green. He comes up and he asks me, he's like, "What is this? Tell me what this is, please. Like, I need to know." And so I get into trying to explain it. I'm talking, you know, doing that thing, performing. Until at one point I found myself saying, like, "Okay, man, it's like this. There are three components to a world peace computer. There's the peace brain, there's a peace space, and there's a peace process. Peace space would be like everything around you. There are a bunch of pieces in it. And if you look at a piece like my sandals there, I'm looking at that piece, so it's significant. There's the object right there, but at the same time, in my brain, there's that same piece as an image in my brain. It's my peace brain. But my peace brain is running a process to make sense of like what to do with that object, sandal. But at the same time, I have other objects around me that are part of my brain's process. So my process is spread between the peace brain and the peace space. And it's basically just a general stuff computer, where the computer isn't like an electronic computer, which would be this thing that I have in my lap. That's the computer, it's electronic. The computer is literally the stuff that's surrounding me, the stuff and technology in my ambient surrounding environment, plus the stuff in my ambient surrounding brain, plus it's maintaining the process that I'm engaged in right now to like optimize the way the stuff is. It's a general stuff computer. And he thinks for a second, and it just looks at me with the most intense eyes. It's like, very interesting. And that's when I got goosebumps. I was like, fuck, this guy is hardcore. He thought that was interesting, because I only have thoughts like that to myself. And I asked him if he had any more questions, happy to talk, and he's like, "No, that's all I need to know. Thank you. And good day. Bye." He just disappeared into the crowd. I got goosebumps now thinking about that moment. A general stuff computer. The computer is literally all the stuff in your world. The stuff surrounding you that's physical, and the stuff in your head. And then everything you're doing with relation to that stuff. That's the world peace computer. That's a what? That's the non-trivial what. But then how does mine work? And so I'm trying to remember when in the first monologue, the impromptu monologue, this is a rehearsal of that, so take 2. How did I get to the bench? I've been working on this. I've been inventing my world peace computer since 2016, and it's the story time. It's like my story. Why the hedgehog metaphor is so important to me. Why the world peace computer is so important to me. It's the only thing I care about. Only thing I see. Like, I never thought in my wildest dreams I'd be speaking with somebody like you, of your caliber, like intellectual caliber, about this stuff. Just here. Like I'm doing this. I struggled for many years after 2016 to actually like get to the point where things were working. Things weren't working. Things weren't working. It was bad. So I'm inventing my computer. I've invented it. The architecture. I'm trying to scale the architecture. But it took me a long time to realize that before I scaled the architecture, before I had a working prototype, I had to figure out the basics. Like, I needed to find a clean power supply. Like, without a clean power supply, you can't do much on a laboratory bench. Without a stable clock, a stable oscillator, you can't do much on a laboratory bench. Without shielding from all the incoming noise, all the radiation, you can't see, you can't do much. And so I'd set up circuits on the bench, right? I'm in the lab. I'm setting up circuits, trying to figure out the piece computer, because I know I need it. I know it needs to work. I need it to work. And I bang my head against that. At the same time, though, I realize that I got to get my power right. I got to get my clock right. I got to get my shielding right. I got to get the basics right. And as I get them right, I start to see the things that I built on my bench, like, they turn on and they whir a bit. And I got a few things on the bench, and in isolation with the right power and the right oscillator, they work good. They work really good, but they're all very different. And it's like, I finally realized that I needed to wire the individual things into a circuit, a single circuit. And once I finally got the wiring right, after getting the nice power supply, the nice clock, the nice shielding, my like working conditions are nice. Like, I realized, like, oh shit, I'm starting to see the needle move. Like, why is it moving? I've never gotten the needle to move. I've never gotten the needle to move, but all of a sudden now the needle's kind of wiggling around. It's wiggling. The needle's wiggling. The compass, I'm using a compass. I have a compass just sat on the laboratory bench next to the circuit. And when I flip the right switches, no longer does it point in the direction I think the world is destined to like have that compass point in. Now all of a sudden the compass flips in a different direction. I'm like, that's fucking crazy. There's nothing connecting that compass to the circuit. And now all of a sudden I can see that the compass is wiggling because of the circuit. There's something there. It's real. It's fucking real. I don't know. I can't see it. It's magic to me. But I start performing experiments, working. And next thing you know, I can control which direction the compass points in. I'm no longer bound, according to the compass, to go in that trajectory that it says I must, or says I'm doomed to. I don't want to go south. That's a metaphor. And so, yeah, like, then I keep going, keep performing experience. And in terms of this metaphor, that's the metaphor of Faraday. Was it Faraday or Otts, or whatever his name? One of the founders of electromagnetism, discovering electromagnetism, discovering that electricity can do things like send invisible waves and control things at a distance like magic. And it's interesting. It's not just interesting, it's powerful, I think. And so I'm working on my workbench, like tirelessly, to figure out what my various components do, and to build in multiplexers to control the movement and coordinate the operation of those various components. And that's my world peace computer. It guides me. It guides me in the direction I go in. And I notice the direction's a better direction. It's nicer. It's nicer to the now here's the metaphor breaks down in terms of going south as in getting bad. Like I can steer the direction I go in. That's empowering, but it hadn't been this way. I used to be a very intelligent fox where I'm like, I know I'm not a genius or brilliant or anything, but I can know a lot of things. And I just wander aimlessly, like without a compass, perhaps. Maybe that's the metaphor. All of a sudden, the compass I thought had no direction, now I do have direction. But before, there's just no direction, other than knowledge of the fact that I, as it turns out, despite my privilege, am not immune to the harms of war. Like, I never thought I'd be talking like this. The math. I found myself studying biology at one point, and I had to take another math class, which I was horrified about because this was the hard one that everybody talked about. But I'd already taken that calculus class in high school, and I made it. I snuck through like a sneaky fox. I knew all the right formulas. I didn't know how they worked really, but I knew that, for this shape, you plug this formula in. No understanding, zero understanding. And just exposure to the shapes. And then I had a failed math class, but that was super humiliating. And then I just like never wanted to touch it until I did biology, because I was trying to figure out the war problem. It's like, I got to figure out war, because war is inside me. I need to figure myself out. I need to figure out biology. I need to figure out me, my brain. I need to figure out how my brain works so I can stop the war. It's building. Like every little extra splinter, fragment that either breaks inside me or I pick up off the ground and now they're just building up and I need to figure it out. And so I took that math class. It was Calculus 2. And the funny thing about Calculus 2 is that they basically start with series, discrete series, which is, it's not integration, it's summation. It's where you take a bunch of individual pieces, elements, or terms rather, and you add them together. And what made this class crazy, what everybody talked about, this is infinite series, where if you take an infinite number of terms, those terms, if you sum them all up, you keep summing forever, you might expect them to blow up, which resonated very strongly with me, that language. They use that language in mathematics, like this series blows up. But you learn, once you learn about how the mechanics of the series work, it's actually possible to take all the terms, and if you structure the terms right within the series, then you add them up forever and ever and ever, they don't blow up. They actually converge into a single whole, a single one thing. It's called convergence. And that struck me because it was like, oh wow. Maybe there is hope. Like, maybe it's not about biology. Maybe I need to understand mathematics better and, like, physics. Like, maybe I need more math. Maybe I need to understand, like, how reality works, fundamental reality works, not just biology, in order to understand the war problem. Because I keep picking up terms. I can't help but pick up terms. I'm a fox. Like, I'm a good fox too. And I'm like, there's hope. There's fucking hope. So I took a risk. I was like, I need to study physics. I need to be an expert at physics. That way I can address the war problem. But I didn't want to take that risk. But I knew that I had to take the risk because it just, my insides were escalating the war to the point where, like, picking up all these new pieces as a fox, it was affecting my personality in a way that I was not becoming a better person. I'm sure maybe more power in the knowledge, but I was clearly on a course to becoming a bad fox. And I was like, I can't have that. I can't be blown up like that. I gotta take that risk. So I switched from biology to UAA doesn't have a physics program, but they do have an electrical engineering program. So I switched to that. It's pretty much the next best thing. You study a lot of the same courses. So I did the EE program in like 3 years, and I took it seriously. I applied myself, and because it was like life or death for me, and I pretty much aced everything. And I also taught myself theoretical physics on the side, and it wasn't until 2016 that I was forced, by virtue of the curriculum. I didn't really want to. I wanted to study physics, but I had to take 2 courses at once. I believe it was at once, or it was back-to-back, not sure. But it was computer hardware and architecture. So how do computers work on the inside? And then the other course was computer assembly language. So what is the language that those internal organs of the computer speaks to make the computer magical? And those courses, they got me. And I was, it all clicked. It all made sense. It's like, I need my own computer so that I can do the physics, so that I can understand how to address the war problem, because I have too many fragmented pieces inside of me. I need a computer to help me, like, put them all together. And I lost control. That was when I had my first psychotic episode. It was a long one too. That's when I got my first, like, heavy diagnosis in mental illness for bipolar type 1. But it became me. That's when I became. That's when, like, that became the only thing I see. That's the only thing I see is a peace computer. It's my peace computer for the inner war. And ironically, I have to manage a bunch of external pieces to make the internal war, like, less. And I recovered from that psychotic episode. It took me I call those the episodes World Wars. It took me a long time to recover from my first World War. That was very painful. Lots of triggering elements still lingering, pieces lingering. It took me like a year to recover. I did graduate. I had to drop out. I did come back and finish my coursework in EE. Graduated in 2018. And I tried to fight it. Tried to fight the peace computer. But I knew I needed it, so I tried to make it work. And I was building things on the workbench still, noticing how to make the needle wiggle, but I can't get it to fucking point the way I want to. I know how I want my needle to point. It's in the opposite direction of the bad fox. So, had another World War in 2019. I went to the hospital for that one. It took me another year to recover from that shit. Thankfully, I was able to keep my job because of open-minded, understanding people, and I kept working at the peace computer, until I realized it's a time problem. I don't have time to work on a peace computer. I need time. I don't have the time. I can't afford a job. I don't have the time. I need to work on the peace computers so that I can do my job without my war becoming a problem at the job. And so I pulled the escape chute before I got fired from the job with AT&T, and I had some savings, so I went out trying to do it on my own. Like, I'm inventing the world peace computer, time machine for peace. That's what I'm calling it. It's a time machine. Get it? The world peace computer helps you get from current moment to the moment you want to be in, which is a better moment, and it helps you get there faster. But I didn't have my workbench set up right. I didn't have the circuit just right. In fact, so I crashed again, but I didn't go to the hospital that time. It did take me another year or so to recover. That was my third World War. Like, living at home with my parents, like, at age, in my 30s. Fuck. Obsessed with this peace computer thing. By that point, my diagnosis had escalated to, like, schizoaffective. Like, this person, despite their like power stability, their cycle their clock stability, they still have this delusion that they're inventing a computer for world peace. Like, that's persistent delusion. And then I would have the paranoia and the grandiosity like sneak in, and all. Yeah, that's schizoaffective. Then like, recovering from that second one, I was like, I gotta figure out how the connectivity works, because my workbench, I can get the compass needle to move, and that's huge. I know it's there. I know what I'm trying to do. Since I'm trying, I am therefore doing it. I'm not giving up. So I didn't try to do it. I am doing it. I did it. I'm inventing a world peace computer. I need to figure out the connections better, how it actually connects, so that I can steer the compass to exactly where I need it to go. And so I was like, I got to teach myself software engineering and actually work with computers and understand how computers work. Actually do that, not just read about it. I got to actually do that shit, put myself in that position. So I taught myself Rust. I'm a good fox, remember? I taught myself blockchain engineering. I managed to sneak my way into a blockchain engineering job like a good fox. Thankfully, foxes have lots of friends. And I did that kind of work for a while and realized that I definitely do not enjoy working in the crypto space, but I got what I needed. I got that experience doing the job work. But in the meantime, I realized things about my work. I had time to actually make some proper money and have the freedom to just focus. At least enough to realize the way I need the connections to be on my workbench. And there was a point, I can't remember when it was quite recently, where I got the connections right. I got them. It is all an accident. This is all accidental, but it was like accumulation of accidents. So an accident happened, and next thing you know, I have a dial where I can steer. I'm in control now. And that's how I know that I'm not doomed for a fourth world war. A fourth world war. It's like I'm teetering on the precipice of just total implosion, but it's not a teeter from my perspective. I'm standing tall and upright on the ridge of a mountain. I've been climbing up this mountain ridge for some time. I know in my videos I use a metaphor of like stuck in a swamp, running to the hills. I'm already on the mountain. I know exactly where I'm at. But it was all an accident. Like, I am an accident. I am not scary smart by like privilege or upbringing or any of those things. I'm scary smart by accident. And now it's not an accident anymore. Now I actually I understand what it is in my head, and that's why I am working to get it out, and I'm working to do so in a way that people like me, lots of people like me, it doesn't have to be like the default compass. Like, you can steer that shit. And once you learn that you can steer the compass, Neil, you realize there's a whole cosmos beyond that world of yours. You can steer wherever direction in the cosmos you want. You can steer right into the sun if you want to. And so I shouldn't be here. But I am. And I'm making the most of the privilege that I found myself like sitting in. I'm sitting in a shit ton of privilege right now. And I have a functioning world peace computer. Like, it doesn't make me better than you. But I would bet, statistically speaking, I will probably beat you more often than not. At least at certain games, like the peace game. I'm still a fox, but the hedgehog, I lost sight. As I integrate the pieces on the workbench, I realize it's the whole that matters. And so, as I look inward at my inner pieces, like the broken fragments and all the fragments I picked off of other people, the stories, the life stories, the knowledge, the power of that knowledge, like, I realize that just like that mathematical series, those terms, although they're discrete, I can make them as small as I want with something called a Riemann sum. At the Riemann sum, you can take what looks like a spiky, like nasty thing. Like, I don't want to touch that. And if you divide the massive spikes into enough spikes along the right interval, then in the limit, taking those divisions to infinity, you get a perfect sphere or a perfect object. That's called the integral. Now Around the same time I learned about the integral in terms of the Riemann sum, that was when I discovered that there's hope for my fragments to not just keep accumulating and then me blow up as I accumulate more and more. Like, I also discovered something called the Rayleigh criterion in physics, where it goes like, if you zoom in enough with your wavelength, with your probe, like if your probe's too precise and you look at something with it or poke it, like a hedgehog, then you might think that like, oh, those are nasty spikes. Each one is pokey. That hurts. And I don't want to touch that. But if you zoom out, or if you make those spikes thinner, then in a limit, you'll see that it looks like a ball. It just looks like a ball, like a perfect sphere. You still zoom in, you see a sphere, but with enough little spikes, it's not like a rhino where just one spike or two spikes. It's like with enough shards and splinters, spines, that hedgehog, you know, it's no longer like, it's actually, it's nice. It's like, it's cute. And it munches bugs. And you can even touch it. Right? Don't poke with single spike. Don't do that. You can touch a hedgehog. Yeah. The hedgehog. Like 2016. I could say it was when I discovered that I want to be a hedgehog. I think 2016 was when I discovered that I have what it takes to be a hedgehog. Not just one thing. I have a lot of things. I have what it takes to be a hedgehog. In fact, from some perspectives, I am a hedgehog. I just had to figure out how to integrate all the pieces, all the little splinters. I need a computer for that. And that, like, changed my life. I do not want to imagine the person I would be right now had I not taken the computer hardware and design and the machine assembly language courses I took. I do not want to do that. I will not do, like, I can do that, but I don't want to do it right now, at least. I'm a hedgehog. And this is an appeal to emotion. Emotion comes first. That's how you know it's real. Like, I have goosebumps right now. That's how I know it's real. And if somebody, like an employer, I'll even bust into a monologue with an employer, just like this one, just to make sure they're a hedgehog. Like, if you don't fucking feel that, if you can't feel that, then you're no hedgehog. I'm stealing that. I'm appropriating the hedgehog. Like, I'm hedgehog. Now I know I'm hedgehog. I didn't know what hedgehog was until I bumped into the hedgehog company. Now I know I'm hedgehog. And I'm happy. Fucking I just caught myself saying that. I'm happy in like an absolute sense. Interesting. Very fucking interesting. My eyes are welling. They're overwhelmed. But this is an appeal to emotion. Like, I still do work. Thorny fucking work. I'm down for spiny, thorny work. Always. For leveraging my inner fox, however it needs to be. But no more sneaking around. I don't sneak. I'm a fucking hedgehog. This is good. I feel like I just had a super cathartic, like, healing session, especially with bumping into the workbench metaphor, the compass metaphor. Electromagnetism, like magic. I'm trying to do magic. I'm trying to demonstrate that magic is real. I'm not trying to do it anymore. I used to be trying to do it, and I kind of like pull off a little like poof of a non-spell. But now it's just full-fledged. It's like, yo, I'm a magician. I'm a magician hedgehog. My name's Wilder. I do magic. It's called like peace magnetism, peace electromagnetism. There's actually a science behind it. Like, that's what I'm doing. It's like I'm working on developing a curriculum, a textbook, like blueprints, spell books, the whole 9 yards. Hogwarts. Because once we realized as a people that radio waves aren't just magic, there's actually proper physics behind it, we go like, oh, that's just another thing. It's not magic. It's not magical. It's just physics. There's more. There's more. There's more. There's always more in the wilderness. The workbench. Fuck. That is what I'll call this one. Monologue. It's worth a tidbit piece. Double exclamation. That's the... I need to map it out. What was the order again? I don't want to wait until I watch this video. I want it written down right now. I'll orient like this. How... Trivial what? Why? Least action. Trivial how, I'll call that. Non-trivial what? Story. Never would have thought. Math. Biology. Math, bad at math. Accumulation. Fox. War and Calc 2. That includes discrete sum, risk, EE, ACE, and physics. (2016) Workbench. 2008, 2019. Energy. Clock. Slightly reordering. Components. Needle moving, wiggling. Compass. Proper movement. Electromagnetism. Bad integration. Magnetic field. Cosmos or sun. Time problem. Can't afford a job. (2021) Time machine for peace. Needed computer job. Taught self. Good fox. Snuck into job. Completed circuit. No World War IV. Not magic. real. Rayleigh integral I am whole. Now. I need to add trademark to trivial how. What I forgot on this monologue was that in terms of how, it's like I've invented the world peace computer. It's done. I'm working on scaling the architecture. Right now, though, I don't have the configuration on the workbench in a form, like linguistically and also conceptually, where I can take it to a patent, the patent office, and get protection for it. What I can do, though, is say, this is the model. This is what the model is. This isn't the actual invention. This is a model of the invention in terms of computer language. And I'm calling this model a thing. I'm calling this model the Wilder-ness, or Wilder. That's my brand. That's the brand for my world peace computer. And because I've standardized it like that, now I have some degree of protection. People can't just take the Wilder-ness and appropriate it. Like, you can do whatever you want with Wilder, but the Wilder-ness that's the world peace computer, at least mine. And I can say, like, here's a common language that I have. What's yours? I know you probably don't have your workbench figured out either in the way that you're asking, so we can patent it and protect it. What's yours? Because I know you have a world peace computer. I can see it. You go, mine's Athos. I'm like, okay, Athos, let's compare our models, see how they're different. Or you show me your model, and I'm like, cool, that's a sick model. I like how you did this right here. I can take my model and go, okay, I'm going to improve upon the state of art of my model directly on the workbench. See if that works on the workbench first before adding it to my model. And then if it works on the workbench, now all of a sudden I have a new invention. It's a new world peace computer. It would be version 2 of the Wilder-ness. Now I have the old model and a new model. And then Athos might take his model and be like, I see how your model does that, like my model doesn't. I'm going to take from your model and apply that directly to my workbench, and I'll see whether or not it works. And if it works, he'll be like, sick. I'm actually going to add this to the model. That's the invention. That's my new Athos version 2. So all the workbench stuff, though, it's in terms of my workbench and my understanding of like patent protection, like a process utility, that's a real thing. Like, you can patent a process, you can create actual physical patentable inventions that maintain a process, and then if the process is unique, that process itself can be patented in an abstract sense, as long as it doesn't have any prior art, that it doesn't add anything of like useful utility to. So the trivial how is, it's the model, it's my brand. The how is, it's the Wilder-ness. That's the world peace computer. That's how it works. It's the Wilder way. The way of the wilderness. That's the how, with just in one broad stroke. That's like how a mathematician might be grappling with some unknown quantity, and instead of going like, I don't know how to even write it down, they just go, I'm going to invent a symbol to represent it. And that symbol is called X. It stands for unknown. That's what I'm doing with the Wilder-ness. That's my world peace computer. There's a lot to it. That's why it's an invention program, not just one invention. The configuration on the workbench is more like a system, right? It's I don't think you can call the space shuttle an invention. Do they have an invention filed for the space shuttle? Anyways. I feel good. I think next actions, I'm going to cook some food because I'm hungry. I've been delaying that deliberately because sometimes I think better when I'm hungry. Sometimes my peace process runs optimally when I have that pang of hunger just kind of putting me on edge. And I might rest my eyes for a few minutes, like an Einstein nap. I don't have a spoon to drop, but and I'm gonna jump back online, and I'm gonna see about sending out that hedgehog video to a few more hedgehoggers with Hedgehog AI. I'm also gonna look up that essay and read the essay. I'm gonna take a break from the hardcore stuff for a minute. So, man, it's been coming down out there. Makes me want to go out there and get at least one stream going down. That was an epic integration session. That's a piece product. This video is an example of an iteration, a variation on a piece product I just generated in the past 2 hours, 2.5 hours actually. Product leading up to it, the synthesis of priming, reading books about network and computer architecture, as well as just kind of sitting in a time tent in the mountains of Alaska. Peace. After that, I do owe you a trip outside. You've been sitting inside with me for too long. Here, come on, take a look out here. It's raining and it's snowing. There's the time tent. Oh, that was a lot of action in there. It's good to like get out and move around a little, you know. I love how big these snowflakes are. They're like the size of golf balls, some of them. Okay. This one's for you, YouTube. This one's for me. Until I got breath control. I got about 60 seconds left. I'm tapping out. Am I ducking my head in this? Am I a fucking savage? No, that is a sock. No, I'm good. Oh, it's too good. This is too good. Oh, fuck yeah. That hit the spot. Good decision, Wilder. Now I gotta figure out how to dry off in a graceful manner. Oh, let's get my chamois. There it is. Okay. Oh. I'm gonna do squeegee first. That way I don't get the chamois too wet. Whoa. Balance. Every move is deliberate. When it's a no-fall zone right here. Oh, fuck yeah. Oh. And then part 2 of the ritual. You get my POV while I hike back to camp. 15 minutes in my underwear. Oh, yes. So good. No slips, no falls. Because I don't want to get my pants wet with my wet underwear. I could take that off, but the ritual is a ritual. You kind of gotta fucking respect the ritual. I can see my veins. My little pecker's curled up so tight like a hedgehog. Tiniest hedgehog you ever met. Okay. Don the boots with the dry feet. There we go. Can't be that cold. I can barely see my breath right now. Can't be that cold. I do need to get moving though, otherwise the core temperature will drop and I'll get a little hypothermic, which isn't quite full-blown hypothermia, but shall we? And drape to the drape. Don't quite have enough hands, that's the problem. Wind. My fingers are a little numb now. Getting pretty. That's Hidden Lake. I'm burning this spot. Oh, it's good wind. There is a chance I will stop, put some fucking clothes on. But probably not, actually. This is the best part. Fingers are a little cold though. Yeah, sometimes when it's warmer I'll dunk and I'll actually swim, but I don't want to dunk. Sometimes you just gotta treat yourself right. Oh, yeah. Oops, just got to reposition Is my gear falling out? No, they're good. You're good, dude. What was that, a minute in the water? I was doing a lot of thinking on the way up here. My process is grappling with pangs of uncertainty, or unsureness, perhaps is a better word for it. I was thinking about the invention, the World Peace Computer itself. It's got to be something people can use, right? It's got to be something that people couldn't just otherwise do on their own with the help of a pad and paper or with a computer. It's kind of one of the criteria examples they use. You could, for a process at least, if you could do the process on a pad and paper or some kind of programmable machine and that achieves the same thing on your own, then it's not an invention. But there has to be a user. So it can't just be on its own doing stuff with no input or it has to be a user. So I was like, what would the what role could the user serve, the operator serve with a world peace computer, the invention? Say it's all in a box, like a widget, a black box widget or something. Like, you sit down and you plug into the world peace computer. What does that mean for your involvement? And I was thinking, like, one of the key functions of a world peace computer is that you have to invent things. Like, it doesn't work unless, like, when you identify an invention point, you have to invent something to identify that point. Otherwise, the process it halts. It locks up. And so I was thinking, what if the user, their job is to invent things whenever the world peace computer prompts them to invent, and then world peace computer takes care of the rest. So your job as a world peace computer operator is literally to invent shit. Because I keep saying, like the game, the process for a world peace computer is like we all invent shit, and ultimately our inventions turn out to be things that we can use to create economic livelihoods, right? And that's the economic model, to incentivize participation and buy-in. So what if that's the only thing that the operator does? They invent things. So different types of people will produce different solutions or inventions for the same type of problem, but they'll all have the same architecture of a computer available at their disposal to facilitate them inventing the thing to solve that hardest problem in the moment, whatever that is. I think that's the move. I'm actually quite satisfied with that. Can you see the snow in the mountains? Yeah, there's some snow up there. We're in the clouds now. Otherwise, I want the thing to be just a box, a figurative box that you plug into, and it helps you do shit better. It helps you be more peaceful. Maximize that inner peace by solving your hardest problems. So, like, an invention helper, maybe. An invention helper that takes a computational approach to, like, the peace process, etc. I think I'll make it. The wind is pretty harsh right here, though. This is really nice to do on a summer day when it's sunny out. It's just perfect 70 degrees and like sun is setting. Oh man, that's top of the world. This is top of the world too. It's just a different kind of top of the world. This way, pick her out, go. Oh, Cozy Town is gonna be the place tonight. I'll tell you what, everybody's gonna be there. We're gonna have textbooks, we're gonna have some lemon bars. Yeah, I love lemon bars. I wish I had some lemonade though, fuck. Oh, can you imagine that right now? Heat up some lemonade in the stove. Oh, heated lemonade. I just invented a new thing. My world peace computer is working. I forget how long this hike is. That's why I'm filming again for timing purposes, because I'm just curious. I've done this so many times. I'm starting to sweat again, god damn it. But I gotta keep moving to keep the knees warm. The knees and the fingers. So the knees are tricky in the cold weather. I don't know if you knew that, but when the knees go cold, it's like, it's different. It's not the best. But we got this. Oh, that's right. I am losing something. There we go. All better. And then this becomes its own exercise in breath control. I need to reposition so my fingers can get a little warmer. Excuse me. I wanted to just do that. Oh, motherfucker! I dropped my pants, my dry pants. How about that? Would you look at that? I dropped my pants. Okay, it's all fixed. It's okay. They're still dry. There's the pond over there. The world's best sitting rock is over there. I don't know if you knew that. Literally, it is the world's best sitting rock. They've done studies. What is it at? I have this policy in the springtime when I'm hiking in the winter. It's like if it's above 40 degrees, then I'm hiking without a shirt on usually. I don't always do it when it's like windy and cloudy, but when it's on a sunny day, yeah, that's shirts off, sun's out, guns out, that kind of thing. You know it when you know it. Sometimes you gotta put the shirt on because your skin gets a little like numb, but for the most part, it's just a matter of the mind. The mind. What is the mind? Oh, another thing I was working on when I walked up here. The three components, how do they overlap? There's the peace space, the peace brain, and the peace process. That, of course, corresponds at the global scale with the universal peace tree, the universal peace time, and universal peace. But the peace space, like images in your mind, those are just images of the pieces, the objects, but those images are just as they're just as able to interact with other images in your mind via your mental peace process aspect. So it's like, is it peace brain is inside your head and then peace space is outside your brain? Well, inside your brain, there are objects, excuse me, sorry, that was gross. There are objects called neural correlates that represent the neural circuitry that's producing the image of the piece that's outside of your brain that you might be looking at. And that image in your mind has an object in your brain. So are the neurons in your brain part of the peace space, and then all the image outside of your mind and within your mind, is that the peace brain? Or is the peace brain, is that just everything in your brain and your mind? So an example of a peace object image that's completely outside the brain would be like a rock. A rock reflects photons, and they'll hit my eye. Photons they'll create an image of a rock in the retina of my eye, even before it gets into the brain. And that image is little rock in eye. And that would be the image of the rock, and the object of the rock is on the ground, of course. And then in between there's a delay while it takes the photons time to get from the rock to the eye. And that's all outside the brain. That's not in the brain at all. It's just an external process. And that's an object image. Meanwhile, in your mind, you can have the object of a rock, which is, say, like a rock you know, or a rock that you're experiencing, and it's a rock that you're familiar with. But then in your memory, you have this image of that rock over time that you've accumulated. That's the image of the rock and an object of a rock in the same exact brain or mind. And in between, you might be reflecting, like transmitting, I call them qualitons, between the experience of the rock in your mind's eye and the experience of the rock in your memories. So there's like a four-way thing going on. I don't want to go, I'm not going too far. Am I going to make it? Is my little pecker going to shrivel off? It's a little cold, but hasn't failed me, or at least failed to not shrivel off yet. Gotta reposition the thumb here. Let's do that. Ooh, there's a little breeze. Oh, got a little mist coming. Ooh, yeah. That's nice. Yeah, pick a course. Pick a course and go. So what I think it is, it's like a triple overlay, where the thing that differentiates between it's like peace brain is both in your brain and in your mind, and outside your brain it can be objects that are functioning as like thinking components. Peace space can be in your brain as a neural correlate, in your mind as in the image of a piece, and then outside your brain, which would be the object of a piece, and then that same object of the piece presents the image of its same piece to surrounding pieces, like the sandals that were in my tent. They were projecting an image of their presence onto the tent fabric that they're wedged against. The tent, if the tent fabric could think, it would be like, oh, I guess that's what a sandal feels like against me. And then the peace process, that's definitely like outer and inner. It's happening internally in the brain, in the mind, and also outside externally via like automated processes. triple overlay then. Let's call it that for now. I'll leave it at that. And so then the issue is the demarcation between the object world, which is the inside the brain. The object world would be the neural correlates, or the shape of the neurons that are firing, that represent like rock, and it would be the external world outside of the brain, outside, that would be like the rock itself. And then there's inside the mind, and that's the image. It's like that, but the image space has its own object image duality going on there too, inside the mind. But we don't know how things get from the object in the brain, which is the neural correlate, to the image in the brain, which is the thing that we experience and see, right? Like, I'm looking at this rock, my neurons are going boop. We're firing off rock neurons. We got a rock here, but my experience is going like, oh, that's a rock. Look at its color, look at its quality. We don't know how that gap is bridged. What I do know is that it could probably still be represented by the same ball stick diagram, where there's definitely probably a time component, transition between where like information goes from, okay, establish my bearing here. Yep, there's my bearing. We got a ways to go. That there can be an object in the brain. It translates into an image in the brain, where the neural correlate fires. Then it has to send that information to the part of the time space, I call it, just the space that we're talking about, where there's an image. The image is generated. So I think there's some sort of a fundamental time step. I'm always tempted to call it a delton. It's propagated by deltons, and that's the jump in between the realm of subjective experience and the realm of objective physical reality. And I think all systems have this sort of duality of having a physical body, like physical experience in time space, and then I call it the image experience in time space, where that's the space of qualitative experience, the space of color and feel and all those good things. All those good things. I've also been grappling with how to, is time space a greater space than space-time? Is the space of the qualitative experience something deeper and beyond space-time, and space-time is just a corner of it that we're living in? Or is time-space and space-time, are they both just a single dual object where there's nothing beyond it? It's just, that would be the entire conceivable universe in a nutshell. If time-space were greater than space-time, that could imply that there are places in the realm of qualitative experience that are real, they just don't have a physical basis. So, dreams, that would pave the way for people, talking along the lines of dream. Almost lost you there. Talking along the lines of, dreams being potentially, visitations, spontaneous visitations to actual places in time space where the rules are different. It would be a lot simpler, though, if space-time and time-space were just a single dual object with a single one-to-one mapping between the two. Yeah, let's start there. How about just like explore that next? I think I'll do that because I tend to get sucked up in exploring the not one-to-one. It's like where the image of the domain, if space-time is a domain to speak mathematics jargon, like the image of the domain is this way, is greater than the domain itself. So you could you could visualize it by imagining the space-time domain, this world of me stepping on rocks and my body as being the shape of a kidney bean. It's pretty classic in the textbooks. And then you could overlay it into the space that the image, the domain maps to, and that image would be it'd be like a giant kidney bean compared to the space-time domain, which would be a tiny kidney bean. Does that make sense? Think about some things. But yeah, the image object duality in the context of the world peace computer, three components, the peace brain, peace space, and the peace process, I think is a tricky conceptualization I have to, I think, formalize sooner than later if I'm going to make any substantial further progress on the actual invention front. Okay. There it is. There's the time tent. There's an alien staying there, I heard. Why is all my stuff falling off of my arm all at once? Why is it happening? Why isn't it? And why is it at the very end of the trip like it should? Who knows? The mist is coming. So this will be really good to get warm, get dry. That was a good romp. There we go. I'm just gonna drop. All right. I'm cocoon mode. Back in Cozy Town. It's good. That was about 35 minutes. Swim to camp. It's time for a lemon bar. And what am I gonna do next? That was really refreshing. I'm just gonna let myself warm up and just vibe. I don't want to get into the internet stuff right now, although I should do some networking. Yeah, we'll see. I'll let you know. I hope you're in Cozy Town too. So camping in a time tent for more than a day is very interesting, especially when you do it like I do, use the time tent to advance your peace process. What started out, and this is very typical, so I'm sharing it with you. The mood changes wildly during the course of a day. So now I was stoked last night to be here. I was in Cozy Town. Still am in Cozy Town. Here's the situation right now though. This is what it looks like. Okay. I am in I'm in invention mode, where I have this impossible problem that I walked into this believing that I knew how to solve. And that was to basically network and cram from the mountain. Once I start doing it though, I do what I always do. And I realize that, like, look at this shit. Look at one of these diagrams. That's an example of a crossbar switch. Omega network. These are super basic concepts. That's a basic concept. And then I go, here's a switch fabric for IPv6, blah blah. And this is review. And this was this morning. My mood was totally different then before I went for the swim. And I have this packetized now into a tidbite. I have two tidbits of one. And I'm going to set this aside for now, though that I could get carried away on that for a day. That was really important for me to get my story straight in terms of talking to a new type of person, a new type of people. But now what I'm doing is I'm realizing that this is way too much shit. This is like, there's no way that if I were to just skim through that would be a super ineffective, that would be like the minimal I could do. That would be lazy. I can do better though, because I have a piece computer. My process advanced since this morning after the monologue session. And what I realized is that, okay, now I got my story straight, and that's cool. And it's obvious that I'm intelligent. I can talk about network stuff pretty easily. I don't need to be an expert, though. I don't need to be an expert. What would really help if I had something to bring to the table, like an offering of peace, a gift. It's like, hey, here's an example of what I do in my free time with this piece computer thing. I'm working on ball stick diagrams again. This is an example of a ball stick diagram. This is pretty messy because I was experimenting. But a ball stick is just like a way to represent a computational node. And I realized that what would be cool is if I could take what I've already been working on with the piece process in terms of ball stick, like actually trying to implement some sort of a network topology that scales better than current network topologies. If I could pull through with what I already have on the ball stick diagrams, and I call it the surreal masking ball stick network topology for now, then I can just give that to them during a conversation. If I were to actually land a conversation, I'll give that to them. I'm very close. I think I almost have the protocol down, but this has been several hours now, a couple hours now, working on stuff like this, where I'm experimenting with like blending the concept of surreal numbers with binary. And it's difficult because this is what always happens. When I go camping or when I go into a Timetent, I just start inventing shit to solve my hardest problems, and my problems are complicated. And so my inventions typically end up being complicated things because my impossible problem is to invent the piece computer in a way that actually makes sense of people. So it works out well for me because I have to invent to do the inventing. So that's a no-brainer. But it's just like this, looking at this, it was a little crazier looking. Looking at this can be really intimidating for people when you're like, you do that for pleasure, like to release. I'm like, yeah, I had such a good swim. I wasn't even in water for more than 5 minutes. Not even 3, I don't think. But, yeah, after the exercise and the swim and the good thinking up and down the hill with the movement, I realized that the most effective thing for me to be doing is to actually be putting my money where my mouth is. And it used to be overwhelming for me because I didn't have an outlet, but now I feel like I'm generating more outlets for it. This video is an example. This video is good for me because it forces me to maintain a clean shop. Like, this could be a lot worse, and it would be easy for somebody to be like, yo, that's mania. You're unwell right now. I'm actually working on some shit. Kind of thing that, if it did do what I think it could in terms of results, that would be a real moneymaker. So if I do strike up a conversation with a company in the high-performance compute sector, like I hope to have something that I can just give them. Be like, hey, here's something you can make some money off of. It's yours. I got shit ton of other things I'm working on. Like, I don't have time for this. Have it, please. It'd be awesome to see that implemented in a data center. But it's just, this is my life. I'll tell you more about the tidbite packet. 2 paper clips here. One paper clip is red that's my emotional dimension. With my personal world peace computer, I've programmed the colors, the 6 like color words we have for the not just white, black, and gray, but we have 3 primary colors. It's red, yellow, and blue, and we have 3 secondary colors that are combinations of those for basic like painting, and that's orange, green, and purple. And I've programmed those colors to signify different aspects of my inner dimensions. I break my inner dimensionality into like 3 core types or dimensions or qualities, if you will. And red on this tidbite is emotional. When I came up with this monologue, it really struck me that I'd never found those words before, and that was the first time ever saying it anywhere near like that. And it was because I'm in my Timetent, and I want to remember that physically. I want to have a physical thing to go with this tidbit to remind me of that. Like, I just see the red, I feel the paperclip, and I know that when I put a red paperclip on something, it means that I'm talking to my emotional side. Blue signifies intellect, like brain. And yellow signifies creativity, like spark or soul. And this one happens to be a green paperclip. Green is a combination of those two, intellectual and creative. So this one applies to the metaphor that I came up with, again, on the fly for the first time ever. It's never even occurred to me until just spontaneously it came to me when I was monologuing the first time without filming. I was like, damn, it feels like I'm working on a bench with electricity for the first time ever for people, for myself at least, and I've got these like circuits that I'm tinkering with. But I've noticed this crazy effect, which is that the compass that happened to be sitting on my bench, the compass that was aimless and had no direction, when I flip certain switches on my world peace computer components, like it actually makes the compass needle move. And that was one of the first experiments that led us to discover electromagnetism, led us to discover that current of electricity flowing through a wire creates a magnetic field, or at least change of current. Anyways. Oh no, it's current. And that struck me because it's like when my peace computer is working, it's like that. It's like I control the currents, and it affects the way my inner compass points, and I can actually choose where it points. I know where I want to point, and that's away from the bad fox. That's red. And so I'm super stoked to bumped into that content. I mean, the delivery is still shaky as fuck, but I'll refine that over the next couple times I've delivered it. And now I have that. That's a product of my peace process. That was huge. And so now I'm working on more product. It's a little messy, but I hope to, in the next couple of hours, I could just film some of me inventing a network topology. For all I know, it already exists, but for me, it's work I gotta do anyways. So we'll see. I'll let you know. Oh, hey again. Just finished dinner. I got swept away. The process usually goes like this. I get excited about an idea, and then I develop it into a concept. And I realize I need to do more research. And then I realize, well, I read up that concept might not make any sense, or at least in order to get it to make sense, I have to do a lot of work, a lot more work than'll happen in a single Timetent session. And then you get really discouraged, and then you start like doubting everything, and then you have to start hosting peace talks because that little inner warhead starts rearing its ugly head. And then you force yourself to just do some light technical blog reading and white paper reading on NVIDIA. And that seems to calm you down. And you realize that there are cool concepts. They're super fucking cool concepts. It's just tonight's not the night to follow through on finishing any of them. And I gotta be at peace with just letting go. I gotta get some more water. It's getting late. I gotta get some sleep. I just had some hot yellow rice, though. It was nice. And I'm feeling better after that. Gotta nourish the body. You gotta have that power supply dialed in, you know what I mean? And I go through the thoughts like, am I just a joke? I might just be a joke where all this piece computer stuff and like the YouTube, and I start reading about the actual like supercomputer technology, and it's so intense. It brings me back to feeling like I can't do that Calculus 2 class in college. And I just have to remind myself that that's why I'm filming this. It's because I might just be a joke, and at the very least I can entertain some of y'all. At the very least, some of y'all can get a laugh, get a cringe, you can get a pity feel, get the pity feels in. Like, that's so sad and lonely. He's doing that, actually. And that he can't stop doing it. He just can't stop. He's not allowed. He won't do it. He's a hedgehog. He's kind of an ugly hedgehog, to be honest. And I go, that's cool. I'm just gonna keep rolling. If I stop rolling, then I won't be a hedgehog anymore. I'll be a fox. I won't be a good fox. No, I'm not gonna be a bad fox. I'm a hedgehog. It's okay. So I'm gonna go get some water. It's gonna be cold, uncomfortable. At least it's not raining too hard. It's misting. But I just think, like, when I try to get these ideas down and I end up staring at my diagrams like, maybe I am a crazy person. And maybe if I were to catch the attention of one of those like big business tech people, be like, hey, here's the idea. Just have a conversation with me. Talk it out on back of the napkin, you know? Maybe at the end of it, they'd just be like, man, you're a joke. You need to grow up and give up, because this is out of your league. That happens, so okay, I'll keep entertaining. Keep entertaining until I die by natural causes or somebody takes me out. Yeah, I'm happy to do that. Cautionary tale. If anything, that's the minimum value I can offer society. Is this, ladies and gentlemen, is a cautionary tale of what'll happen to you if you get it in your head that we need a computer for peace. Paying the price of foolishness. That's one perspective. Or I'm just paying the price for a really valuable thing. Some things are more valuable, so they're more expensive. They cost more. Fuck. There's always a low point in the Timetent camp session. Or at least mine, there's always a low point. I need to get some sleep. Wake up in the morning. It's supposed to be nice weather tomorrow, I think. I think I will actually. I was like having doubts about sending that hedgehog video of mine, the bug munch video, to more of the hedgehog people, because I'm just like feeling kind of foolish. But I read a couple technical blog posts, or just blog posts by the CTO and co-founder, I think, Mark Austin, and kind of thought, yeah, he seems like a really reasonable person. Probably be able to sniff out that I'm at that point where I'm trying things because you got to, you have to. If you're a hedgehog and you're rolling and it's rocky, you got to keep rolling. You got to keep trying things one after another. You don't back out. You stick to your plan. So I'll send him a video tomorrow with a slightly less cheeky hello message, because I just want to find a family. Kind of family that can help. Actually, computer architecture and design. That's what I am. I'm a computer architect, an inventor. Would you believe I used to do just this for probably hundreds of hours, not without the phone, thousands of hours. But my Timetent stays used to be where I'd come up into the mountains and I'd do work. But in between, I would talk. I would practice talking so I could get good at talking, because I have a hard time talking to people. And I've spent well over 100 hours sitting there with a phone, not recording, but looking at myself as a mirror so I could see what my face looked like while I was emoting or not emoting, right? Thousands of hours practicing different conversations, simulating different conversations, different ways of saying words. And I fell into my style. This is my style. It's rather monotone. But now I'm doing it and I'm recording it for you. I'm just gonna dump all this shit on the internet. At some point, it's probably gonna blow up in my face. Cause a big old mess for myself. Cause that's what I do best. I roll around and find out. Look at you. Look at you. Look at the fucking face on you. You crack me up. Deep breaths. You crack me up. I find it entertaining, right? At least somebody's having a good time. It may be shitty, but I'm having a good time. I always find a way to crack a smile, gig a gig. You know what I mean? I think it's midnight. I'm gonna be up for another hour, getting ready for bed. I don't want to go out there right now because I'm kind of cozy. I'm like mid-cozy, but still it's super cozy. Any cozy time's cozy. I don't know if we've gone over that, but... And then, yeah, I enjoy your company. Actually, just like, it's weird. This is really weird. Holding a phone and filming yourself, and then at the same time watching your face as you do it, and it's like dissociating. And I know I'm talking to myself, but I'm also indirectly talking to you, but I'm really just talking to myself right now. And because I'm making eye contact, and because I'm like responding to my own like facial expressions, like I just laughed at myself genuinely because the look on my face cracked me up. Like it makes the situation feel a lot less dark and lonesome. Interestingly, even if I knew I could never make it back to the city and I was going to die up here, it's like it still feels like I'm being heard. You know what I mean? I think I'd say that's the part that is hardest for me. I just don't feel like people see me. Like I don't feel like I'm heard ever really, or if people are hearing me, it's something about it, like they don't actually hear me, hear what I say. They hear me, they're hearing me, I'm hearing you right now, and they're like, yeah, like I'm vibing with your vibe, but I don't understand a word coming out of your mouth. Or like some people in my inner circle, not a single thing I communicate that's like metaphoric. Like they don't comprehend a single metaphor that I use. At least the ones that are meaningful, like a deep metaphor. Like the kind of metaphor where when I'm talking about being a hedgehog versus being a fox, they just don't fucking get it. They don't even think about getting it. There's not even inkling of like appreciation for the shape of the metaphor. It's like they're just words. It's difficult for me. But I was thinking about, when I get back, getting AI or generating some images where one would be, it's a hedgehog with like an ugly little snout and like beady, ugly little eyes, and it's all its spines. Each one of its spines is actually like a little fox mouth, like going like, and so the teeth are like kind of spiny poking out, but it's clear that it's like the hedgehog is just basically a bunch of little foxes all forming a hedgehog kind of gestalt. And then it stops rolling and it stands up, and it turns out it's not actually a hedgehog. It's a bad fox. Or maybe there's one where it's like the imagery that I grapple with is like, I don't feel like, what if I'm not at all even a hedgehog? What if I'm actually just straight fox? I'm so fox that I feel hedgehog. I'm foxhog. And so that the imagery there would be like a yin yang, where there's a fox like chomping at a hedgehog's tail, and a hedgehog chomping at a fox. There's a fox, like, no, what would it be? Yeah, a fox chomping at a hedgehog tail, hedgehog chomping at a fox tail. But the fox tail would be covered in mosquitoes, to be a throwback to that parable. Once upon a time, a fox was injured in the woods, was stuck under a log, and there were so many mosquitoes that the fox was just completely covered, each one of them full of blood, and the hedgehog rolls up, and asks the fox, he's like, "Hey there, buddy. Would you mind if I helped you out by eating some of those mosquitoes off you? They look really, really yummy. I'd love to help." And the fox is like, No. If you take one mosquito off, then another one of these greedy mosquitoes flying around will land on me and suck more blood out, and I can't afford to lose any more blood. That's what fox said to hedgehog. Now, in my mind, it goes, hedgehog, I think hedgehog's way smarter, way more sly than fox. I think hedgehog was fucking with fox, or just seeing what he'd do, seeing what fox would do. Where it's like, "Hey, you want a hand? I doubt you. I have a hunch that you're not gonna want it because you're fucking proud, or you're a fearful fox. That's why you're such a sneaky predator. You're just sneaking around because you're insecure and afraid of the larger consequences, the graver risk. You won't accept help. You won't accept help from a hedgehog of all people. You won't accept help. Ha. Stupid fox. I want to do more research about the history of that fable. Was that an Aesop fable? I think it was. I tried to find the whole essay by the Iliada, or whatever the guy was, that was using Fox and the Hedgehog to comment on Tolstoy's style. The War and Peace guy. I think that was War and Peace, right? I haven't read War and Peace, by the way. I probably should, but I kind of make a point to stay away from books like that because I'm the peace nut, right? I don't want it like polluting my like, I don't want another shard, another sliver to add. Like I see what I see. But I will need to read it at some point, or at least have someone explain it to me. That's what I'm really good. I'm really good at having people read books for me. All right, fine. I'll go outside and do water now. That was 20 minutes. Peace.
Oh, hi. Good to see you there. You kind of startled me. Thought you were a bear. Good thing I did.
dessert time. Let's do some fucking munching. Look at that. Look at that. Yeah, it's squishing my fingers. Oh, yeah. Don't mind if I do. Just a couple munches. A couple berry munches. Oh, frosty. Little ice cube. Yeah. Little blueberry ice cubes. Oh yeah, last one. There's one right there, yeah. I'm gonna get it. Yum. Back in the hatch. Take my medicine. Where's that? Oh, yes. Where's that one at? You in there? There you are. Yeah. Get out of here. There you go. There we go. Yeah. Peace, the product. Sure is peaceful in here right now. Sometimes I can see why I do this to myself. If I could just live in a tent for the rest of my life, I'd probably be a much more content human being. Get it? Well, alright. So, here's our bear plan. We gotta have a bear plan. We haven't actually talked about that. So, if there's a bear, we'll know it. We'll hear it. We'll be like, oh fuck, that's an animal. And I'll orient. That's an observation. We're gonna do the OODA loop. Yeah, that's an observation. Like, yeah, we'll know it. Like, it's gonna be a glaring neon sign. It'll be stumbling around, thumping, like snorting, sniffing shit. You'll hear it sniffing, huffing. And I'll orient. I'll get up and be like, yo, we got a bear. Just stay calm. I need you to stay calm. Do that for me? Cool. You follow my lead, and I'll tell you exactly what to do. But basically, we're going to orient with regard to the bear. Is it in the front or the back? If it's in the front, and I'm gonna gear up with the headlamp and the air. I'll toot the air horn first and we'll be talking. I'll be making the bear talk and gear up with the air horn, all gun up and bear spray up. We'll be tooting. Then, depending on where it goes, if we hear it still around, I'll get out the back. If it's at the front, if it's at the front. If it's at the back, I'll get out the front. And I want you to just, once I get out, I want you to just keep doing bear talk for me. I want you to stay in the tent. Okay? Unless you want to come out and see the bear with me. That'd be pretty sick. But if you do that, just remember that if the bear gets me, I'm going to rely on you, and I